What's up, guys? What's going on? I'm Paul. This is Pauline Theology's Daily Devotional with Trust in Jesus Ministries, and we are going through the book of John. We're in John chapter 12, verse 34. We only got one verse today. I'm going to focus on what the crowd has to say in response to what Jesus has said. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go ahead, read it, see what it has to say, come back, and we'll answer these questions, man. If you have already, sorry about that. If you have already read, then go ahead and we're going to jump into it. We're going to see what the crowd has to say in response to Jesus saying he has to be lifted up. The Son of Man must be lifted up, but that he's going to draw all men to himself. And as I speak about this, I didn't mention the fact that as Jesus says this, that this all men is all kinds of men, like all different people, because this book is intimately discussed and focused on the Jewish people as well as the Gentile people. And we read a little bit earlier that Jesus says that his time has come, that the hour is finally here, because of the fact that the Gentiles had come seeking Jesus. The Greeks had come seeking Jesus. So I wanted to make that clear because sometimes that's a warrant where it could be like universalism, where everybody's going to be saved or something like that because Jesus has sacrificed himself. But that's not the case. As we read through here, that it says there are some that ain't going because their hearts are hardened. And we're going to actually read more about that here in a little bit. And Jesus is going to make it absolutely clear that it is incumbent upon us as man, as humans, to believe in him in order for this salvation to be gained. But the way in which we have it is through the sacrifice of Jesus. And all people of whatever ranks, discriminations, sex, or creeds, we are able to be a part of it, which is the beauty of it. And I think in Ephesians, it talks about that so much. And you should check that out if you haven't yet. We went through the book of Ephesians and talked a little bit about that as well. But there is nothing that we have been born with or have been talented or blessed by that gains us this salvation. We're all equal footing, and that's because Jesus has opened up his life and then given it and then rose from the dead so that we might become one with him. And that is exactly what's happening. He's lifted up off the ground on the cross, displaying his glory and goodness to us and his love by this action. And because of it, anyone, whoever chooses, can come. So, what's this talking about? What is 34 saying? Well, after Jesus says these things, those things about being lifted up from the ground, the crowd says, wait a second, man. Doesn't the law, which is their scriptures, the Bible, doesn't the Bible say that if that the Christ will remain forever, or that he's never going to die or anything like that? And I think they're probably getting that from their passages from a king. The Messiah is a king, and so it says in Psalms and in Samuel that the line of David will remain forever. The son of David, the king, will be forever. And it speaks about that in Isaiah as well, when it talks about the line of David being forever, perpetual. And so I think that may be where they're getting that from. But the thing is they're coming on their own assumptions and not the thing that Jesus has spoken about, saying that what they believe is to be true cannot withstand the truth of who Jesus is. Even though Jesus is the truth, and we're going to see that he says the way, the truth, and the life, and what he says is true, and because everything that he says comes from the Father, they don't believe it, so they still cannot see past their own their own selves, and we do that, man. We do that. They ask the question, who is the Son of Man then? So what is this saying about God? Well, first off, I believe I kind of made it clear that Jesus is the truth. And so that is the premier thing that we must know, is that he is the truth. But also that he has the answers. He's the truth and he has the answers. Because he has the answers and because he's the truth, the answers that he speaks are truthful, are real. and are valid. And what does this say about man? I think it seems like we want to look for our own way. We want to seek to do what it is that we want to do because of what he said here earlier. We talked about he's talking about salvation, Hosanna. He's the King. But because of what Jesus is saying now, after he has said those things, the crowd is quickly turning. They're quickly going to the same crowd that people say that said Hosanna, comes in the name of the Lord, then says crucify him. And it's because of the words of Jesus. And so it's because man seeks to define their own way. So how do we apply these truths to our lives, man? I think it's important for us to see this. What is the agenda that we have? The question is not that they had a question for Jesus, but were they really looking for the answer? Were they really looking for the answer? A lot of times I've seen here in the recent history has been these last couple of years, a lot of people have fallen away from the truth of the gospel, and they say it's because they've had all these questions. But I feel that they're not deeply diving into the questions because Jesus, being the truth, has the answers to those questions. And those questions that they ask have been around for many centuries. And only to discuss them and discover them through his word and through the truth that it can be found in the world, because all truth is God's truth. But are they really looking for the answer, or only they seeking to find their own way, seeking to do what they desire in their own hearts? And that's the case, it seems like, for those who believe here. They don't truly believe. They ask these questions, and when Jesus gives these answers and talks about the things that he's done and what has to be done, what happens is they cry out, crucify him. They turn away. So the question is, what's your agenda? Hey, I appreciate you guys for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.